What I first came into my head when Lorca was diagnosed with autism was a picture of a screaming kid that I would not be able to communicate, hug or show affection for.
We get about 50 autistic kids and we go up into the hall area and we let them all loose.
We're just to say, here, we can't look after them anymore, you look after them. You know, but it didn't come to that.
It's almost like if you make enough noise, then you'll be thrown a crumb from the table. But there doesn't seem, I know that there is a right for every child to have a proper education, but you will only get it if you shout loud enough.
I was wasting my time talking to the Department of Education. Sorry, I hate the bastard, so... Put that in, I don't mind.
Faith pours from your walls, drowning your calls. I've tried to hear, you're not near. Remembering when I saw your face shining my way, pure timing. Now I've fallen in deep.
Tom had his diagnosis of autism in January 2003. We were just told the diagnosis and basically given a folder and said, you'll find information here on autism, and away you go. I have to say that day we just felt, we sat in the car outside and we just cried.
Colin was diagnosed in March 2000 when he was 2.5 years old, and we were quite lucky to get such an early diagnosis. As it turned out later, a lot of kids unfortunately don't get diagnosed even at that age. And in the diagnosis report they said that he needed a full-time placement, which would have been 20 hours a week. So needless to say, we were really concerned because we had started reading up about autism and we knew that early intervention was so important. We really felt we were losing time with Colin. We could see that he had lost little skills that he had. Like, he used to go around and he would hum tunes off the TV, and suddenly that just disappeared and it was lost, and we never did get it back. You know, that little gift of being able to sing.
That's really good work. You know that? Well done.
Autism is not recognised as being something unique. What they were offering was putting Lorcan in. Now, I have no disrespect for Down syndrome or kids with mental disabilities or physical disabilities, but autism is something that is a unique concept in the fact that it needs unique approaches. It needs one-to-one approach. It's something that any kid who gets early intervention will progress.
If you wait 2 years until they do have a service, you know, you've lost 2 years of important intervention, and the earlier the intervention, the better the chance the child will have of not even recovery but of reaching their full potential.
I kept being told that Lorcan was very young, not to worry. He had time enough at the age 4 or 5 getting help. I decided that I needed to get Lorcan one-to-one help, consistent, something that was going to be there every day for him.
Who's that? Who's that handsome boy?
Okay.
It's Lorcan, yes.
Every day is important. Every day you waste not getting help will have serious repercussions on your son or daughter later on in life.
Now I've fallen in deep, slow, silent sleep. It's killing me, I'm dying. To put a little bit of sunshine in your life.
Might be a door left open that is normally closed and he'll freak out, and trying to deal with that behaviour and explain it to a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old is quite difficult.
He likes to have his computer on, even though
and in his particular program, Sesame Street or whatever, and then he'll want probably RTE2 on the TV at the same time. At least it's currently RTE2, and he'd like to have some Vivaldi perhaps on the kitchen.
Yeah.
So that leaves only a couple of rooms for the rest of us.
We were given an offer of a placement from the Brothers of Charity. It would have been 20 hours a week, and when we inquired how much one-to-one time Colin would have gotten in that placement, we were told 40 minutes a day. So that would have been a maximum of 2.5 hours a week of one-to-one versus the 25 to 30 hours that we were told was appropriate for Colin. So, of course, we just felt it would have been a denial of Colum's right to a proper education. If we had accepted it, we would have been selling him short.
We communicated this with the Department of Education to see would they actually provide that service to us. And although they did offer an alternative service, it was far short of what the child actually needed. And we went about setting up our own school as our own service to the child by employing external people to provide an ABA education or tuition for Colin. This we thought would just be an interim step until the department themselves provided what was appropriate. But it transpired 8 or 9 months later, they weren't going to provide it. It was going to be difficult. So we were forced to set up a fully fledged home-based school for Colin. And it was at that point we also decided to pursue the Department of Education down the legal avenues to get funding.
Where is Lorcan? Where is Lorcan? Where can Lorcan be today?
Initially we had to fund it ourselves on a bit of a gamble that High Court actions, which were in train at that stage, would come to fruition, and that we would be in a position to force the Department of Education to deliver an ABA autism specific school in Galway.
Parents were remortgaging their homes and taking out loans because we had to pay for all these staff. We had 6 children, that was 6 tutors plus supervisory staff and the professionals coming in. Our kids needed this, and if we didn't make it happen, by the time the government realised this intervention would work, it would be too late for our children.
We also felt that Colin's education wasn't a horse trading exercise. We had to get him what he needed and nothing less.
Colin, will you give him some biscuits? Seamus, you ready? You give him some sausage.
It felt like we were the little people taking on the might of the state and all the resource they had to throw at the legal team. I mean, I remember when we went into the court and we had our solicitor and barrister, and they had 4 barristers and 2 solicitors, all on their side, versus our team. And you just kind of felt like, oh, wow.
Round and round the ring goes round, and now we'll stop.
I don't think there's any great doubt but that we were going to succeed in it. Remembering, of course, that there's a clear line in the Constitution promising free primary education. And there's a number of precedents set with other court cases. And the department did resist, probably stronger than any case they ever did before.
What they were offering initially was they would give us funding for Colin, and they would fund us to give a programme to Colin on his own, basically. Forget about the other families and we'll just look after ourselves. We really didn't see that as being an option. So, I suppose we dug our heels in, much to their disgust, I'm sure.
Share with each other, do some things together.
We finally got a judicial settlement in the end, which was a settlement which was signed off by the judge, and it was funding for all 6 children in the school. The department literally was saying, we just provide education, we provide a teacher and that's it. We don't provide speech and language therapy. Oh, that's not education, that's health. So parents are being bounced back and forth because these kids need all of that. How can you learn to write if you don't have the physical coordination to hold the pen? So you need the part of your education to write, is your occupational therapy to teach you how to hold your pen and control it and write.
My husband didn't know what was wrong with me. I was sort of jumping around and I'm going, there is hope. This was the first sign that we had that there was somewhere that Tom could go that would be perfect for him.
To put a little bit of sunshine in your life.
It's great after a few months to see the difference in your child. I suppose one of the biggest things we've seen is the way he approaches people. Now, if anybody comes to the door, 6 months ago, Tom wouldn't have come out of the room he was in. He wouldn't have acknowledged them. Now he'll come out, he'll give them a hug.
When he eats breakfast, his plate, his cup, his knife, his fork, his spoon must be always in a certain order. Now, if I did not put them in that order, Lorcan would have screamed, but today Lorcan will arrange them the way he wants them arranged.
Now this slick fallen rift came like a gift.
By saying the word mammy for the first time, which was just 6 months ago, was like winning the lotto.
When Tom eventually, I know he will call me by my name, and that's one day that I'm looking forward to. But when he says things or he points to something or he acknowledges something, like that's a huge, huge achievement for us. And you know, that is important. That's what makes our lives good.
I think the position of the carer in Ireland is completely ignored by the state and by the system. They're completely taken for granted. And they save our country millions every year, and they're the great quiet voice of our nation, and they're out there in their thousands, and those people are too busy giving a humble service to be really heard or to get the attention that they need.
Liam has his own little talents that he performs. Every 6 weeks his programme is looked at and updated, and each child has an individual programme tailored to their specific needs. He can concentrate more, he's better attention span. Everything has improved since he started in Abalta. There's always hope for integration into mainstream school, which is incorporated in Abalta. It depends on the school and it depends on the teachers, their attitude towards integration, but it's always the hope that he will eventually go mainstream.
Wind and rain and thunder.
As the legal position now stands, his right to the type of education that he gets in Abalta is going to be switched off. And so we don't know, you know, what the future will hold from beyond that. And we know of other parents in those circumstances who are at their wits' end because they have seen the services being withdrawn, and they have seen their children, their sons and their daughters developing serious problems because of it.
You know, I can fight now. Can I still fight in 18 years' time? You know, do I still have to fight? I shouldn't. But am I going to have to keep fighting for my child? But if I won't do it, who else is going to? So I think these types of schools are the schools of the future. You know, this is a centre of excellence, this school.
So I went from being an inadequate parent, not being able to help my child, to being paranoid about my child, now to being completely relaxed and happy, and that's thanks to Abalta.
Now that we're here and grieve for me, not history.
People used to say, poor Marion, poor Lorcan, poor John, poor Larry's. I'm so delighted to say that word poor is now disappeared.
But now I'm dry of thoughts, wait for the rain, then it's replaced, sun setting, and suddenly you're in love with everything.
Anywhere when we start to rely on the system is so fundamentally flawed, it completely lets us down. And as parents, we got a responsibility to call him, and so we got to do what's best for him. And the system isn't geared for them. No indictment on the individuals involved, but the system is rotten.
You know, people say, oh, it's a curse, and, you know, you poor thing. And yeah, you know, it is hard, but Tom is Tom because he's autistic. Like, he's still my little boy, he's still my child. I don't see Tom as an autistic child. I see Tom as a child who happens to have autism, but he's still my little boy, and he always will be.
We might kiss. We are alone. Nobody's watching. We might take it home. We might make out when nobody's there. It's not that we're scared.